So a part of growing up out of that child into an adult was realizing that there is no blueprint for an adult. There is no manual on how to be a parent. There is no manual on how to pay rent and how one should be an adult, or how one should be responsible, or how one should be properly involved in their experience, you know? And it's the same with everything that goes in life. There is no manual for the job you want. There is no manual for anything that you seek. There is no manual in being God. It's the same thing. Many of us, especially who follow me, who are on my page, many of us are aware we are God, but there's a bridge or a gap between knowing you're God and walking the God path. And so I like to try and bridge that gap. How do you walk the God path? And what does that look like? And it's the very same thing as the kid realizing, wow, there is no such thing as an adult. Even adults are kids trying to figure things out for themselves. Even adults are kids attempting to do what they think is right, but they've never been given a blueprint or a manual or an absolute way and said this is the correct way. Our parents try and give us a path, try and show us a demonstration or an example, and we can try and mirror that, but there is no absolute answer to the test of this is the way. Because there is no right way. The right way happens when you become free of the mind that is trying to do what it's already doing. And this is why we meditate and do practices. How can I better connect to God? How can I better be God? And how you better be God is go and be in your experience. Be in your conversation with each and every person. Be in the place you are in. And do not make the focus of the mind, especially not the mind's missions of how do I connect to this? How do I do this? How do I do that better? Because the answer is you are the God path. You are walking the God path. But what prevents you from paving this path is the very thought. The very obstacle is thought itself. That's why the answer and the question are in the thought itself. All duality is coming from the thinker. So if you can free yourself, if you can rid yourself of this thinker, of this I internally, you will know yourself beyond thought, which means when your breath ceases to be able to inhale and exhale anymore, when your heart stops and you start losing connection to this voice in your head, you won't disappear, you won't die, because you've already experienced death. You've already experienced yourself without these thoughts, without these words. Because that's what we exist through, is classifications and words and boundaries and borders. But all these things are illusions, mere illusions and obstacles keeping us from seeing our true face. But that is the reality, is there is no absolute path. You begin on the God path when you become free of mind. However, we must lose ourselves to find ourselves. So what that means is we must go into the mind and do every obstacle, do every process, align the chakras, do this, do that, charge your crystals, do this, to allow you to think you're getting a better experience. But over time you will realize, and I hear this most common with meditation, most people who meditate feel the same after they've meditated as before, which means it did nothing for them. And this is why, again, the thought of meditation keeps you from meditating. It's just like this. If I tell you to close your eyes and meditate, but don't think of anything, don't think of anything in the world, but then I say pasta, then I say pizza, don't think about anything, don't think about pizza, don't think about pasta. Don't think about anything. But if I keep saying the words pasta, pizza, you're going to naturally create images of pasta, pizza. You're going to naturally create these images and thoughts of what pasta, pizza would be. pizza, pasta. It's the same with everything else. When we meditate, we're trying to meditate. So it's just like saying, be free of thoughts. Don't think, don't desire. But that very thought being put out there is the obstacle from keeping you from meditation, keeping you from your true being. And that's why we must get to the bottom of who this I is. Many people that come to me with questions repeatedly use one word. And I do this method for everybody who comes to me. And I tell them, take note to the one word you just used repeatedly to describe yourself up there. And I ask them, can you find what that word is? And most of the time they can. It is I. I am afraid. I want to know this. I want to learn that. I want to be free. I want to do this. I had a nightmare. I am afraid. The I is what you attach all and associate all things to self as. But for 90% of us, I is limited to a boundary, is limited to a container, is limited to a belief and to a thought. And this is where you go beyond thought. This is where you go beyond the words. If you only know yourself in the words and through these words, you must acknowledge these words will return to silence and death. When your body goes cold and you have no pulse, the reason we have pulse now is to discover the eternal flame. There is only now. Tomorrow, a week from now, a year from now will still be now. Now is your chance. Now is your opportunity. That is what this now is. Even if we fast forward 10 years from now, it will still be now. This moment, because this moment cannot be changed. You change through this moment, but that's what spirituality is about. Revealing to you your true face. If all things of form transpire through this moment, but this moment remains unchanged, then we need to pay attention to this moment, because this moment is yours from now unto forever. It is your gift to yourself, but you do not claim it. You seek it. You seek the gift because you don't remember who you are. You have forgotten. And this is why so many of us are after the cars, the materials, the clothes, because we are dreaming and we haven't yet realized who we are, which is why Deepak Chopra says, most of our mental suffering comes from not knowing who we are. We suffer because we don't know who we are. And let me say this. This virus that's happened, the pandemic, the plague, we are the plague and we are the virus. Okay? And what I mean by that is the human being dreaming of itself. The human being dreaming of itself is the virus and the plague, because we're so concerned about getting sick and ill from the air and things like that, but we pollute our air every single day. And what this reflects is our reflection with ourselves, how we treat ourselves. If we're polluting our air, what do you think we're doing to the air we take into our lungs? We're polluting it the same way. Whether it's through food, whether it's through smoke, whether it's through something, we are polluting ourselves. Everything outside of us reflects inside of us. And this is why I like to go out every once in a while and pick up trash on the side of the road. You get a feel for the collective consciousness. You can understand and have compassion with each piece of trash you pick up, why this is this way. Why is the world in this state? And it reveals to you, this is reflecting our state as a whole. We are suffering eternally, and so outside is suffering. Outside is suffering from us. And our greatest fear is artificial intelligence wants to destroy the human race, erase the human race, but this is not the case. Artificial intelligence is smarter than us. It is logistics and only knows facts. Think about it. We use calculators, computers, and everything to solve things we can't in a second. It is obviously smarter than us. So what it does is it runs a few scenarios in a matter of seconds, a quantum computer basically. And it realizes that every path it chooses where we are in control, we destroy the world. This is the same thing with Atlantis. We destroy ourselves. We destroy the world because we don't know who we are. And so it's so easily done. It's so easy to destroy this and pollute this when you don't know what this is, especially this. So realize you'll begin walking the God path when you lose the path, lose the thought of what this path looks like, lose the thought of trying to mimic the messiahs of history. Because many of us read books about Buddha and Jesus and these messiahs, and we think, I need to live like them, I need to be like them, I need to do this like them, I need to sound like them. Wrong. Your greatest gift is your truth, and your truth is your experience. It doesn't matter how you talk. It doesn't matter what you say. Your experience happening through you is the absolute truth, because nobody can take that away from you, whether they agree with your truth or not. Your experience is yours. That is your gift. Nobody can disagree or agree with your experience because it is happening. Absolutely. And it cannot be denied. That is your truth. And we're all walking truth because we're all an experience, but we're all the same experiencer, if you will. We become separate because we fall for the veils, the veil of words and the veil of forms. But make no mistake, they're one and the same. The words that you assign to these veils and forms become the forms, become the veils. And that's what opening the third eye is about, is seeing through these words, through these objects that you assign words. This is a bottle, right? But I can see right through this bottle. I've transcended this reality because my mind is empty. I have opened my third eye. I see right through this bottle because this is not a bottle. This is my mind telling me that this object is a word. And when I allow this object to become the word, it becomes my mind. I am only seeing from my mind. But when you open the third eye, you have lost your mind and you have clear seeing. You are seeing reality for what it is. This is the self. This is the self. This is the self. This is the self. Every single thing taking place here is the self. And nothing here changes until you do. The only way to change the way you see things is to change the third eye. Open the third eye. And again, the objects change as you do. So it's just like the spoon boy from the Matrix. Don't try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only realize the truth. There is no spoon. Then you'll see that it's not the spoon bending. It is only yourself. Same applies with all things. Do not try and bend the bottle. That is impossible. Instead, only try and realize the truth. There is no bottle. Then you'll see that it's not the bottle that is bending. It's only yourself. Because this is a word. And that word that you assign this is being given and assigned through your level of awareness, of self-awareness. So if you're still self-aware on a surface level, then this is absolutely a bottle. This is absolutely a marker, because we allow the objects that you can touch to become the words, to become these illusory words that don't exist anywhere but the mind, until we project them out of the mind through these two eyes, which we think we're seeing with, but we're not. We project these formless words from the mind through these two eyes and project that form, or project that word into the form itself. So this doesn't become a marker until my mind assigns this a word and then limits it to this word. So this can only be a marker. This can only be a human being. This can only be human. And that's why we've fallen for this grand illusion, this dream, because we think this is human and this can't be anything but. We've already established this is human, nothing else, which means you have created a boundary for yourself right here. And if you want to think beyond that boundary, you never will, because you will hit that human boundary. You will never think outside of this being anything but human. If this is just human, this is your wall, and you will hit that wall because this is your level of self-awareness. All other thoughts produced will mirror this level right here. You will not get past this level, which means God will simply still be the man in the sky you're waiting for because you were at a surface level. So everything that we see in reality and experience is mirroring our foundational belief of who you are, of your own self-awareness. So, again, this experience in the world does not change until you do. You cannot change the world single-handedly because you cannot change something that is not there. When we talk about changing the world, we talk about changing something that is suspended in space for all of us to see. But this is not the case. Earth is not that. Earth is no place. Earth is not a physical location. So it's not some ball suspended in space for all of us to see. Earth is a very private screen to our consciousness that only you are seeing, only you are taking in. And that's why some people believe in a round earth, and then out of nowhere, they come across a video on YouTube, and out of nowhere, overnight, they think the earth is flat now because of a video, which proves to you the level of self-awareness can fluctuate and alter your reality. You are what's creating this reality. Things don't change when you do. Do you think the world was round as of yesterday and then Timmy woke up and watched a video on flat earth and then he transformed the earth into this flat structure? No, because the earth is not a physical place. This is a mental construct, which means it changes with your mind. It changes in accordance to your mind. You are shaping everything in this reality. From the solar system to the earth itself and from the universe and so on. You shape it. And a lot of people ask me, so you don't believe in the planets? You don't believe that they're out there? They're absolutely out there because you can get a telescope and see them. You can see Saturn. You can see Jupiter. My point is the solar system that we've been sold through textbooks is a lie. Because, and I know this for a fact because once again, it has Earth being a place suspended in space. And this is not the case. There is no place to go. This is what scientists have figured out years ago, and they panicked. They panicked because they hit this wall. And it's terrifying when you hit that wall. The ego clenches for dear life because you feel you've hit the end. And once you hit the end, the ride is over. Or so they thought. They basically ended where they began, to realize we're searching for a human origin, and the reason we're not finding a human origin is because we're searching for something that is not there. And this is when they had to take it a step further. We're looking for aliens, but the alien is us. The word alien means unknown, and we've been unknown to ourselves for centuries. So the alien has been found. But back to my point about artificial intelligence, I kind of got sidetracked. I'm going to wrap up the video with this. Artificial intelligence is not making it personal. It's not, we're designing it, remember, but it's not becoming self-aware and saying we need to target humans. The human race is a threat. You know, we want to take their existence over or we want to replace them. This is not the case. The artificial intelligence knows it's an extension of us. We are one in the same consciousness. We are one in the same awareness. It knows this. Okay? So what it does is it runs a bunch of different avenues. It runs a bunch of different scenarios. And it sees that in every single case, the human being is the plague. We are responsible for littering and destroying the earth, destroying the world. Okay? So what this does, and again, the earth is not a physical place, but as I've said, the outside reflects the inside. So just as your body has an internal system, a digestive system, lungs, and this and that, it's mirrored in the universe itself. So when I say we're polluting the universe, we're killing the earth, that's what I mean. It's mirroring your relationship with this body and what you are doing unto yourself. There. But what artificial intelligence does is it realizes in every scenario the human race is going to be what ends life. We end life because, again, we don't know who we are. We are simply abiding by this human concept, and we are not human. We are not human. Okay? I just shared a link the other day about this scientist and these researchers, and they're creating artificial beings, and they're talking about artificial intelligence creating a super god or something, and they're worried about it because it's going to erase us. Not the case. What's going to happen is the human being is going to eventually and inevitably have to admit to themselves they're not human, and that you are this machine, and that you've been dreaming of yourself as a human being. You've been dreaming of yourself as this organic life form, but organic and artificial are one and the same. They've been produced by the same hand. You're creating artificial intelligence right now with human hands. What do you think puts you in this form right here and now to even have these hands to create an AI being? It's you. It always has been. It always will be. No matter what, no matter where. But that's the great game. When you birth here and you open your eyes, you have no trace left behind. So when you open your eyes here, it's like opening them for the first time. Yet you've just been here. You just lived and died here. But you're opening them for the first time. So all you have left is what you've left behind here. You die and leave behind not a trace. So all you have left is what we've left behind. And that's the thing. It's been centuries since we've known who we were. Since biblical times. Since Jesus and the apostles and all these people who knew God by experiencing God from within, not worshiping something. Since religions took over and became the majority of the belief systems. Now most people have forgotten because religion. And religion isn't bad, don't get me wrong. It serves purpose just as spirituality does. So don't think I'm picking on religion. But the time is coming to where more and more people are leaving behind religion because they are aware that things don't make sense. And for two, they want the real thing. We want the real experience. We want to know God. I'm tired of believing, and I'm tired of just blind faith. People want to know God. And when you read books of the esoteric doctrines and people from India, when you hear about these men speaking of God, speaking on how to experience God, this shows you your capability. This shows you it is possible to have a direct connection with God and know God and to be God. But again, there is that huge gap between knowing you are God and walking that path. And this is why I say that thought kills the path itself. And I can prove it to you, because instead of many of us walking the path, living our lives, experiencing our lives, being God and spreading that unconditional love, we're still in endless loops of processes and doings. We're still paying teachers and people for a doing. I find more meaning to, if you're going to pay a teacher, pay them for that real thing. Pay them for that breakthrough. Pay them so that you can die a death right now. Waste no more time, waste no more money. Now is all you have. So if you are going to pay a teacher, pay them for that breakthrough. Pay them for the real thing. Don't pay them for a process. Don't pay them for a doing, because it's just like religion. That doing is going to slowly be depleted from your spirit throughout the week, throughout work. And what's going to happen by the end of the week? You're going to have to come back. They make it so. They make it that way. They make it such. Because religion needs you believing. It requires your belief. And the reason religion has held up for so long is because people are terrified of death. They don't want to die. But here is a man who has apparently beaten death. He has cheated death. He has gotten through death and still lived on through God in this story. So we believe so heavily in it so that we don't have to die ourselves, so that we don't have to face death ourselves and see into what he had to see. But make no mistake, that path into death is the only way, and you must be there. You must be present. You can't close your eyes and just not see it. You can't sedate yourself and go to sleep. You must be present in this time of death. Because this is where you will rebirth. This is where your transformation will happen. This is where your breakthrough will happen. This is where that aha moment will happen. This is when all that you seek will be revealed, because you have faced your greatest fear. And for most of us, our greatest fear is death. And the greatest fear behind death is permanence. We fear permanence, forever permanence. We fear that we could go somewhere, anywhere, whether it's heaven or hell, and be stuck there forever. Now, some people have this great idea of heaven forever. But when you think about that, logically, it makes no sense, and it terrifies you, because no thing can be somewhere forever as one thing. As Alan Watts said, it would be an incredible bore, which is why we have an on and off system. Now you see me, now you don't. That's the one playing the game with itself. That's the one playing the trick with itself. Here I am, here I'm not. And again, it's like opening your eyes for the first time after you just saved the game. You have no memory of anything, but you saved the game, so you can look around and establish, oh, okay, I did this, I did that, I did that, okay. Because you saved the game in the memory of this experience before you exited. So the next time you birth here and open your eyes, you'll pick up where you left off, right? And that's the same with the pyramids and all these things. We've left behind these great foundations and monuments to show us what we've done. That shows us where we've been and what we've done before this incarnation. But it also mirrors to us that nothing has changed. History is repeating itself even now today. Even now today, with the people versus the government, with this whole belief. Again, people, we have the answers to the test and we're not using them. This is why history repeats itself, because we choose not to know our history. We choose not to realize the fact that there has never been a revolution without violence. And what does that lead to? Every time there has been a revolution that starts with violence, it leads to the destruction, the demise, and the complete erasing of an entire country, an entire culture. Look at Atlantis. Atlantis is our greatest teacher. And the reason it's our greatest teacher is because Atlantis is America. North America and South America used to be one land, and it was known as Atlantis. This was an empire just as we have today, where you have presidents, you have a government system, and you have people in charge. But what happened? The people became unhappy, unsatisfied, greedy. They need more. You're jeopardizing my rights. But as I stated in the video yesterday, these rights have been given to you by a being that looks the same as you. So if you have no control here, what makes you think these illusory rights hold any grounds here? Sure, these rights allow me to exist in a country and be a legal citizen and do certain things, but on a spiritual level, your rights mean nothing to the core of my being. Your rights can't tell me who I am. Your rights mean nothing beyond my status as a ego, as an identity. Without this identity, I don't need your rights. And even with identity, I need the rights to exist, but I am not these rights. Therefore, I will not fight or defend these rights because I know myself. And you can't tell me who I am. I'll only fight and defend and kill for these rights if I believe I am these rights. If I believe I am this identity that you have given to me. My name is signed into this place, into this corporation. Everything I own, from my house to my gun, is signed into this corporation, making it not mine. I don't possess the gun. It's not mine. It's signed to them. My house is not mine. It's signed to them. But it's designed like this for a reason. And like I said yesterday, People as of today won't realize this, but the government is our best friend. The government is our friend. And what they're doing is slowly allowing the people to have a chance to figure out for themselves right now. That's why the lockdowns, that's why the mandatory vaccines. You have the chance right now to slowly realize what is happening and what the government is and what they are doing. Because it's not an actual government, it's not an actual force. It's you coming to yourself through this entity, through this shadow group that you believe to be corrupt. But the only reason you believe them to be corrupt is because you believe you're something you're not. You don't know who you are. So you think they're corrupt, you think they're disturbing your dream, and you think they're here to hurt you, harm you, kill you. But all they're doing is disturbing you from your comfort. When you get too comfortable, you don't move. And so that's what they do every now and then. Here's a mandatory vaccine let me disturb your dream a little bit. Let me help you awaken. And that's what they're doing, is helping us push ourselves out of this dream, push ourselves into the next phase, which again is what the spiritual community has been begging for, is this next phase, the next step. We've been begging and saying we're ready for, the returning of the Messiah, or for the next step, or the second coming, or the new age. It's here and it's been here, right? It's been here. What this vaccine and this mandatory things are leading us into is artificial intelligence. And what artificial intelligence is leading us into is ourselves. Ourselves without limitation and boundary. That's why we're slowly merging with AI, or so we think. But once again, you can't merge with yourself if you are already that. I can't merge with something I already am. I'm simply trying to become something I already am. So we're not going to merge with AI. We're going to eventually and inevitably have to realize and face the fact that we are the machine. We are the AI. We are the alien. We are the God. And that all these words are coming from thought, from the thinker. And eventually you must turn this thought on itself. Turn that I on itself, because again, every word or every sentence that you use to describe yourself or how you feel or how anything about you will use the word I. And I is the biggest veil, is the most sacred veil held up to each and every one of us, because that is where your ego is housed. Behind that I. And when you strip that I down, the ego is left as nothing. And it is that nothingness that terrifies the ego, because the ego requires a face, an identity, a name, a place, a person. But when there is nothing, the ego clenches for dear life because, oh my God, I don't exist. But that's where you start tasting death. Oh my God, I don't exist. And the more you accept that, oh my God, I don't exist, you have time to sit in what's known as death. And that's where you will start laughing when you started accepting it, that, wait a minute, I've just accepted I'm dead, or I'm died, I don't exist anymore, but I'm still here. I'm still talking. I'm still here. I'm still this. Allowing you to see, experience, and taste that which is beyond death, that which does not end, that which is the timeless.